Okay, so picture this. You've done everything right. You've got a steady job. You've been saving for 2 years. You paid off your credit card. You even ran the numbers online, like 5 different times. And then you sit down with a lender for a $400,000 house, and they hit you with a number that makes your stomach drop. Not because you're bad with money, because the math was never designed for you to win easily in the first place. Here's the thing about that $400,000 price tag in 2026. It's not a luxury number anymore. It's basically the median. Half the homes selling in this country right now are going for more than that. So when we talk about who can afford a $400,000 house, we're not talking about some aspirational upgrade. We're talking about whether the average American can afford an average home. And the answer is way more complicated and way more brutal than anyone wants to admit. Look, if you go searching for how much income do I need for a $400,000 mortgage, you're going to get answers ranging from $67,000 a year all the way up to $130,000 a year. That's not a typo. That's a $63,000 gap between different official answers for the exact same house. And, that should bother you. Because when the experts can't agree on the number by $63,000, that's not a math problem. That's a sign the whole system is built on shifting sand. People are signing 30-year contracts based on whichever number they happen to stumble across first. So let's actually pull it apart, because the gap makes sense once you see what's hiding inside it. The low end of that range, the $67,000 to $83,000 number, assumes you're using a government-backed loan, putting down as little as 3 to 5%, and stretching your debt-to-income ratio close to its legal limit. The high end, the $130,000 number, assumes a traditional loan, 20% down, and a conservative lender who wants a cushion. Same house, same price tag, completely different life depending on which door you walk through. And this is where it gets uncomfortable, because the rule everybody quotes, the 28-36 rule, sounds like financial wisdom. No more than 28% of your income on housing. No more than 36% on total debt. But here's what nobody tells you. That rule wasn't built to protect your life. It was built to protect the bank's risk model. It's the maximum the system thinks it can lend you before you become a statistically risky bet, not the amount a financial planner would tell you is healthy for your sanity. Think about it like this. It's the same as a doctor telling you the legal blood alcohol limit to drive is 0.08, and you deciding that's the target you should aim for every night. Technically legal. Definitely not the same thing as safe. The bank's maximum is the ceiling for their comfort, not the floor for yours. They've already modeled out exactly how much they can squeeze out of your paycheck before you start missing payments, because that's their business. Your life, your groceries, your vacations, your ability to handle a surprise car repair without panicking, none of that is in their spreadsheet. It's not their job to protect that. It's yours. And the data backs this up in a way that honestly should be a bigger story than it is. As of 2026, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate is sitting around 6.3 to 6.6%. On a $400,000 home with a typical down payment, you are looking at a monthly principal and interest payment north of $2,000 before you even add property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and if your down payment is under 20%, private mortgage insurance on top of that. So the number on the mortgage calculator and the number that actually leaves your checking account every month are two very different animals. Now here's the reveal that I think should be the headline of every housing article in 2026, and somehow it isn't. The median age of a first-time homebuyer just hit 40 years old. 40, not 29, which is what it was back in 1981. And the share of all buyers who are first-timers has dropped to about 1 in 5. The lowest it's ever been recorded. That's not people choosing to rent longer because they love flexibility. That's the first rung of the ladder physically moving higher off the ground. But here's the part that actually made me sit back in my chair when I found it. Nearly 1 in 5 millennial buyers and about 1 in 7 Gen Z buyers didn't save their entire down payment themselves. They got a cash gift from family. On top of that, roughly 1 in 5 recent buyers sold off stock investments to afford the down payment, and 13% pulled money early out of their retirement accounts, taking the penalty just to hit closing day. So let's say that part out loud, because it's the real headline hiding inside all this. Affording a $400,000 house in 2026 increasingly depends less on your income, and more on whether somebody in your life already has money. That's not a personal finance failure. That is a structural shift in who gets to build wealth through homeownership, and it is happening quietly, one family gift at a time. Picture two people, same job title, same salary, same city. One of them closes on a house at 29. The other is still renting at 38, still doing everything right, still confused about why the math never seems to click into place. 9 times out of 10, when you actually dig into that gap, it's not that one of them budgeted better or drank less coffee. It's that one of them had a parent who could wire $40,000 for a down payment, and the other one didn't. We don't talk about that on social media, because "my parents helped me" doesn't get the same engagement as "I hustled my way into homeownership." But pretending it isn't the biggest variable in the whole equation is exactly why so many people feel like failures for something that was never fully in their control. And there's one more myth I need to burn down while we're here, because it's costing people years of their life for no reason. The idea that you need 20% down to buy a house. You don't. The average first-time buyer in 2025 put down about 8%. Some government-backed programs let you in the door with 3%, sometimes even 0. Now, that comes with a trade-off: private mortgage insurance, usually somewhere between 0.5% and 1.5% of your loan amount every year, tacked onto your payment until you build enough equity. But waiting 5 extra years to hit 20% down, while home prices keep climbing 3 to 5% a year, can genuinely cost you more than just paying that insurance would have. So, what do you actually do with all of this? Because I'm not here to just depress you for 12 minutes and then wish you luck. Here's the actual playbook. First, stop asking, "What's the maximum I qualify for?" and start asking, "What number lets me still save money, still have an emergency fund, and still sleep at night?" Those are two completely different numbers, and the bank will happily hand you the wrong one. Second, attack your debt to income ratio before you attack your income. Paying off a car loan or a chunk of credit card debt can unlock more buying power, faster and cheaper, than waiting for a raise. Third, treat the 20% down payment as a goal, not a gate. If a lower down payment option gets you into a home years sooner while prices are still climbing, run the actual numbers on PMY versus appreciation before you assume waiting is the responsible choice. Fourth, if family help is on the table for you, use it deliberately and transparently. And if it's not on the table, stop comparing your timeline to people who quietly had that option. You are not behind. You are playing a different game than the one you think everyone else is playing. And fifth, before you ever sit down with a lender, run your own version of the numbers first, on your own terms, factoring in taxes, insurance, and maintenance, not just the sticker price of the mortgage. Walk into that meeting already knowing your real ceiling, so the number they hand you is a data point, not a verdict. Because here's the truth underneath all the math. Being able to afford a $400,000 house in 2026 was never really about being disciplined enough or working hard enough. It's about understanding that the rules were written by an industry protecting itself, not a system designed to protect you. Once you see that, you stop blaming yourself for a gap that was built into the math from the very beginning, and you start making decisions based on your real number instead of theirs. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: don't let anyone hand you a maximum and let you mistake it for a target. Run your own numbers, protect your own margin, and remember that the goal was never to barely afford the house. The goal is to actually live your life once you're in it. If this pulled back the curtain on something you thought was just your own bad luck, that's exactly why I make these videos. Hit subscribe so the next one lands in front of you, because next week I'm breaking down another number the system doesn't want you looking at too closely. Drop a comment with the number that surprised you most. I actually read them, and I'll see you in the next one.